rigid and we've all made up our minds, we're not going to have perfect surveys, are we?
What was that again?
I said if
I was
we,
distracted.
that's okay, I understand. If we all are people unto ourselves and we have closed minds and we're not able to communicate because of it, we'll never have a perfect survey. Because you can't do that by yourself or on your own. You need help, and there has to be communication. Sometimes we do blaming. I notice there's a little bit of that around here occasionally.
A little bit.
Do tell.
That's why everybody's so busy rehearsing.
Yes.
They can't listen to what's actually being said. They're rehearsing for the blaming.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because we have to.
Oh, I know.
We know.
Trust me, I do it too. I
I don't
know.
want to say right now, but if I get it out.
The elephant
Yeah,
did
be
it.
ready to defend yourself.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
So
Mm-hmm.
the only cure for blaming is if we all decide that we're in a hula hoop and we're responsible for our own issues. Because I can't make Danielle do anything, no matter what. Even if I had the power to have her fired, if I told her to write an S on here, I can't make her do it, unless she wants to. So the solution isn't to criticize the blamers. The solution is if everyone takes responsibility for their choices and stops blaming, then, it's going to be a different world. There'll be rainbows and butterflies and all those things. But it has to begin somewhere. I'm trying to make it begin with me, and I know there's other people here who want to make it begin with them. So unless,
Well, one thing and doing is two different.
yeah, I know.
Well, and it's hard when you're trying to do something and there's people that are still
Slamming it.
I
all
know.
the time,
Yeah,
all the time.
I mean,
But you gotta kind of replay the movie and watch how you react to those things and see which scenario makes you be the kind of person you want to be. So if someone says, okay, Jane, you didn't turn in the sign-in sheets for supervisor training, and now my boss is writing something bad on my evaluation because I didn't go to supervisor training, and I'm gonna CC Tom and Darrell and Robin and Dave and
the
Mary
whole
Beth
world.
and everyone else,
Yeah.
on this communication. So I have a lot of choices. One is I could send out emails and say, they're right, you never were there, and it was Lynn that didn't scan the training, right?
Oh, now you're putting it
Now,
on somebody else.
I don't like how that movie goes too much, because I don't want to be that kind of person. I like to sleep at night, I like my soul to be
And
clean.
all the time.
But another scenario could be that I could set, let me check into that and see what happened. And take the CCs down to just me and you, and no extra CCs, okay? Then I go talk to Lynn, and I go talk to Frank, and I find out where the forms are, and I CC a copy to your boss and to you,
Right.
and I don't CC anybody else.
Right.
Then I sleep at night because I'm being a power of example. Either I am a good employee or I'm not. And other people can't determine that. What determines that is, do I work hard? Do I do my job? Do I treat other people well? When I have a mistake, do I own it? Do I take responsibility for my job duties? So I know I'm a good employee. So,
But how do you get to where, it was clear, I mean, there was something that I didn't do, something I didn't turn in, very clear. I understood that I was wrong, okay? But instead of me typing back in the email and fighting with everybody, or defending myself with everybody, okay, you know what? I'm fixing it,
yeah.
and this is when I'm gonna fix it. I'm
Right.
fixing it.
Yeah.
I didn't go into defending
How's
myself.
that feel to you?
Oh, so much better.
Yeah,
I was able to sleep at night.
yeah.
And
I feel
that
better.
happened too.
I am absolutely the opposite.
Yeah, me too. Did people like drop the whole
They
blade
did.
part? They just,
Did nobody say nothing else?
that's good.
I mean, cause I'm just fighting every day, all the time. I'm tired of fighting. That's
Yeah.
what I am.
I hear you.
I am tired of fighting.
Because
I'm just trying to
anybody,
make a solution.
anybody who has a good example of how they felt better when they got in on the drama, raise your hand. How getting in on all that improved your life. Okay. No, give me the example, maybe.
I was trying to think.
See, that's why Mr. Lewis said that you, what do you say? You're angry
Well,
or
you should
something.
be tired of being bashed on.
I mean, I don't think that it's necessarily about having to do with drama though. It's after so much, like, a person can only take so much before they feel like the only thing that they have left to do is defend themselves.
So isn't that a little different?
You know what, when I try to defend myself, what I'm trying to say is I'm not responsible, I'm a victim, and I'm gonna let you victimize me.
See, I don't like to be lumped in with a group of people, you know, the general message is, you guys are doing this.
Right.
Yes, I am, and I want it to be known that I'm doing it, so that's when I defend myself and send an email and say, I do
Yeah,
do
but,
this.
okay, but let's talk about, well, let's get to email. I'm gonna talk about the example, this example, so I don't forget about it, but we're gonna talk more about it. But let's say that situation is occurring. What if the email that you sent said, here are the things that I have done, and I'd be glad to show anyone else who wants to learn how to do this process. You know, it sounds like some people are having a difficult time with this process, and I'd love to be of service. Isn't that a different message than you didn't even check to see if I was doing that? And you know I always do it. But you lump me in with all these people, you know they never do it, and I always, I mean, where does that go? Yeah.
When it comes with supported living and me having to email the team leaders, when I email them, I don't pinpoint out certain people, but what I do is say, team leaders, can you do this and can you do that? And if the team leader's already doing it, then it's not per se directed towards them, but at the same time, for example, Wanda might send fax her time sheet in at 11 o'clock one day,
Right,
when it's due at 9 o'clock.
right.
So when I send out an email and say, team leaders, please send at 9 o'clock. Next week, Don might fax at 11. So even though I'm sending out that email, it's not directed toward everybody, but it still needs to cover everybody just in case they do it in a.
And if it don't apply to you, then
And
it's
still,
right.
you know, when you do that, I understand why you do it, because you can't always go through and sort out.
Right.
But in your email, you can say, if you already did it, ignore this email. Just put that in the email. Yes.
My statement on and take on that is that it's easy amongst your peers to see that. I can visualize that and can work with it that way with my peers and my superiors. But when it comes to my staff, there's a whole new ballgame there. And I can't always not bring notice to the person who needs to hear it, because they're the ones who are bringing down the team.
Well, there are times when you would only address the person that you mean to address. There are situations, and that's a good point, because first of all, you don't want, everybody knows who it is. So if you send out the group email, well, come on, now, your folks know everything. They know what you eat for breakfast, and if you think they don't, I got news. So you're right, and we'll talk more about that. Rejecting is when you don't like them and you ain't listening. Or you don't like their message, and you already know what the message is, and you're not listening. Does that ever happen? Yeah, it does happen. Everybody love everybody here at Natty? Would you go party with everyone here?
Sure, I will. I love everybody.
Negative.
I mean, we have a common mission. We are here to serve folks with developmental disabilities with the highest quality of service we can. That's what we're here for. So we can agree that we can work together to do that, right? But we don't have to like every person, and sometimes it's hard when somebody's not your favorite, usually the people I struggle with are the ones most like me. Because it's kind of one finger pointed out, three pointed back, you know? So we have to kind of get rid of the idea that we don't care for someone and get to, also, you know, if you guys ever notice that sometimes you do this halo effect thing, where you see a person do one thing or a person says one thing to you, and you judge the rest of them and their whole life on that one thing you didn't like. And you find out later. When I used to have staff, when we were allowed to have mileage, when I was working in the group homes, if I had two staff that didn't get along with each other, I'd send them together on an in-service with a long drive. Because once you hear someone's story, you know, and you realize they're just like you in a lot of ways, it's hard to hate them. But maybe one time they wrote a note in the log that frosted your cookies, you know? Or maybe one night you came in the morning and third shift didn't do any laundry and you couldn't find underwear for Fred. But we don't want to overshadow a person and who they are by one thing they did or one thing they said. And finally, none of you are controlling, are you? No.
I just
As
like
long as it's
things
all
to
my
be,
way.
My way.
I just think, like things to be A, B, and C, and please don't go out of that.
You're not controlling as long as it's all being paid.
Yeah.
I'm not controlling, but it's not.
Okay.
I'm controlling.
I'm not
I'm
controlling.
controlling. And I can admit, yeah, I have to be, or I have too many hands in a pot and nothing gets done. So Sharon had a good point. We have to be controlling.
Okay, but there's a point at which we can empower too. There's some things we control, like you're a fool if you don't make sure you're ready for licensure. And if you don't control that process. Because, but is it possible that the staff could plan activities or menus or whatever?
Yeah.
And you gotta pick performing staff. If you pick people you're struggling with, shame on you, you know? We have to pick the people who have the capacity to do the job when we empower people or when we, you know, give people the opportunity to do things and try things. Yeah.
How do you get staff to think for themselves?
Well, you don't think for them anymore.
Yeah.
Tell me more about your situation. Give me some more feedback.
I mean, I had a staff that I'm constantly getting phone calls in the evenings, all evening long, how to do this, how to do that. There was one staff that called me and asked me how to make frozen orange juice. I mean,
Doesn't it say that on the can?
yeah, exactly.
Do you know what I do with people who do that?
Call me.
First of all, you know, I've been a group home manager, and so there is a rule about when you call me.
That's right.
Right,
Reading,
right.
sirens, fire,
Right.
okay?
Boundaries, you have to set boundaries.
It's about training the staff.
Yeah,
Because
but orange juice questions, what I say is, you know what, you're really smart, and I know you can figure this out, so leave me a note tomorrow and tell me how you figured it out. Call your mama.
If there was no
Right, call me.
Then it'll be more than you. I didn't like the way
Call-
she spoke to me.
Right.
Call the orange juice company.
There was no way to get a hold of anybody.
Call HR.
Yeah.
Regardless of
situation, what would you
Right,
do?
right.
What decision would you make?
Right.
You have to make a decision. They're so used, my thing is, okay, I'm just gonna do it because I know it'll get done. But then they can't think for themselves, they're so used to me doing everything
Right.
for them,
Oh, no.
that when there's just,
We
you know,
teach
the
people,
smallest little
we
thing,
teach
what do we
people
do?
how to treat us. Let's move on though, we're gonna talk more about it. So, one of the things we have to do is we gotta talk to the right person. And I know you guys have a thing with your staff about this, and you may have occasionally made this mistake, okay? If I have a problem with, the way Marcel scheduled me, who should I call? Should I call the 3 other staff people who got the schedules they want and complain about Marcel? Does that solve my problem? No. How do I get my problem solved?
Call Marcel
And
and ask him.
yes, and
if
if
it's
Marcel
possible.
can't solve my problem, what do I do? Call Sharon. We have the answers to that already in our procedures.
Right.
So, but a lot of times people want to talk to everybody else but the person who can solve the problem. So it's like you're feeding the fire of drama. You know, let's put another log on that puppy.
But as supervisors, we have to redirect.
Yes, we do. We do. We have to say, whoa.
Right.
Have you spoke to so-and-so?
Yes.
Have you even spoke to your
And if
supervisor?
an employee comes to you and says, Susie Bell is doing this, that, and the other thing, you say, you know, I think that's very important what you're saying, have a seat. Susie Bell, come in here. Do not have conversations about your staff unless they're in the room. And you know what? The gossip will stop.
No.
Because nobody likes to have that happen, right?
Increases.
Now you need to put a policy out, say you sign,
And
They don't want you to understand.
Yeah.
Then they just want a fist fight.
So they'll stop.
you have to pretty much tell them, it will stop.
You also have to provide the right information and all of the information. If I call and leave a message on Sharon's voicemail over the weekend, and I say the ambulance came to get John,
What happened?
have I helped?
No.
If I want to make it worse, I'll say, we have to talk, right? We gotta talk. I'm not telling you anything else, but we gotta talk. That's a threat right there. So it's important to provide the right information to the right person and all the information they need. There's also a right time to do things. Like, if you hate what I wear to work, now would not be the proper time to address that, right? You would come see me in my office and say, I'm offended by your fashion.
But why would you care about
Well, I'm just giving this
I
an
was just
example,
gonna
because I realized that when I almost called,
No, I need you to stay there.
that?
I need you to stay right there
Because
with
that's
that.
just a
Because
okay,
I myself have experienced this. I am a rule follower in this policy. I
Yes,
live
I
by
know
it
you
because
do.
I don't have to argue with folks. I
Right.
just say policy says and I show it to them.
yes, you
But
are, that's
we
true,
have a code in,
Oh,
a dress code.
yes,
And every outfit in the store does not fit everybody just because it's mixed out. And that is my problem that I see with my staff,
yes.
some. And it's a problem that I see with other folks in here staff.
Yeah,
But when I bring it to my staff attention, because I follow the policy, I don't care about somebody else, if they don't do it, I'm sorry.
right,
But I'll bring it to the attention of folks who can fix that. I take it to the staff and I says, in confidence, verbally first, and then I go back and put it in writing when I don't see the change of it. But you can't come in here and you're size 400 with a shirt on this short, and you got on your spandex or whatever we call those, with every, yes. I had a-
here knows about spandex.
The pant, now it's not the spandex, there's a stretch pants, a legging.
yoga pants,
And yeah, and a parent says to me, well, my son just talked about the butt of
yeah,
this one. So I'm bringing it to the attention of the staff. We have parents who are not thrilled about your outfits. You have to change them. You don't have to take away the tight pants. Just buy a shirt long enough to cover all that up.
I've had to address my
So
staff on
that is how I help them to fix the problem without just saying, fix
yeah.
it. It still don't work.
Send me a picture.
I will the next time.
Just say, okay, wait a minute, I got my cell phone. Just taking the picture may
And to this
cause
day,
a little bit of discouragement, but,
And I'm gonna tell you what happened with me, and when I
but
say
you're not
step-
respecting yourself. That's the issue when you dress like
absolutely,
that.
you tell folks that the dress code at the bar is not what you do in the
No.
workplace.
That's not even a dress code.
However, it's when you move, for me, to move it to a higher level,
Yeah.
which is to go to policy to get you to fix what I'm asking you to do,
Yeah.
because you're pretty much being defiant to me.
Yeah.
And says everybody else in the agency do it, I'm gonna do it too. I put the agency at a point in policy that says, if I discipline
Right,
that
Gloria.
staff and it takes it further,
I'm good.
they're all within rights to do that, only because the agency has not enforced that
Right,
everybody does.
and that is a problem, not just on this.
And it makes
But
me
on
take a
all
back seat,
policies.
how much can I move
Right.
to get this change?
married and.
And
That's
we,
the
that's
particular
another point
item.
at which we all have to be on the policy. You know, we all, because it does, if you don't follow it, if your staff are out there. My rule is no bees, no boobs, no butt, no belly. No crack rule.
I'm just saying, it's an issue that we have within this agency,
No,
until
you're
the
right.
agency step up to the plate. It
You wanna
makes
know what
me
I
be
saw this
amenable not to
weekend
do
for the
anything.
first time, that this was my judgment coming out again? I saw a girl in saggy pants. I was like, oh my God. I hated him in young men. But now I saw him in a girl and I was like, oh my God, do you really know what you look like? So anyway, that's just my side comment on saggy pants. So I think that what we're talking about is we have to show some discretion in terms of controlling. Sometimes we have to control things very strongly. You have to control medication stuff. You have to really follow the policies and the procedures and make sure. Because people can die, you know. But there are also times when you can teach people how to do the task and you can, you know, you know, this thing with dealing with staff is just a behavior program. Like we do with the individuals. It's nothing but shaping, okay? We're all behaviorists. First you show them how to do it, then you watch them do it. And then you check back. Shaping.
And the thing is.
And you might want to write some secret programs in your computer to
You
remind
check
you.
back and they doing it right, but then yet they go and pour the meds in their hand anyway.
And the thing is, we also have to learn to reinforce when people do it right, right?
Yes, well.
We gotta work as hard to catch people doing something right as we do something wrong. Let's talk a little bit about writing. Yes, you know, texts and emails and memos. We don't have, anybody do memos anymore much? They're kinda out, aren't they?
No.
Twitter and Facebook. Any of you Twitter or Facebook about this place?
No.
Don't do it.
No.
I don't do none of that anyway.
Policy
Um,
72 paragraph 3.
I heard somebody called off on Facebook.
Somebody called off.
Oh my God, wish that was locked down.
When we send an email, when we press the send button on an email or a text, we're saying amen. So we need to watch before we hit that button. I know I am guilty of this. The other thing that we do is we blind copy or carbon copy people without thinking. Don't use the BCC so that other people won't see who you copied. If you're sending a message and you're gonna send it to Tom, show his name on it. That's just common courtesy.
They do it all the time, because Tom will remark and you right there, so you might as well just.
Yeah.
Ooh-wee.
Yeah. So let's just name, you know, what we're saying.
Biggest reason to not use BCC is what you just said. The BCC person replies, and then you look like a bigger idiot than if you
So why
had
not
just
just put
visibly
them on?
contradicted.
But it's really an integrity issue. You know, it's that, who am I and what do I stand for? And if I think I need to send this to Tom, why won't I tell you that I'm sending
And
it?
if not, don't put them on there.
Also, with the CC issue, the CC is not a spanking instrument. So if I'm mad at you, I don't need to add CCs that I think are gonna spank you, you know, because I'm documenting that, you know, this has occurred.
I don't even know why folks even attempt to do it, because policy kicks it right back to you.
I know.
So if somebody said it about me, you might as well bring it to me, because they're bringing it right back to me.
Right. So we don't wanna use the BCC or the CC to blame, gossip, or argue with people. We can just do that in a straightforward way. I can say, I don't agree with X, Y, Z. Right. And then you can say, well, I don't agree with you, and you can say, well, I guess we don't agree. No,
Are you saying,
don't agree.
are you saying don't use CCS?
No, I'm saying use it appropriately.
Oh.
There are people
scare
who need
somebody.
to
No,
know,
no,
right?
I do it to cover my
Right.
tail. That's why I see.
Right. And if that's appropriate, that's what you should do. If those people need to know what you're saying. But if Erin was supposed to give me lunch and she forgets, because it's Tuesday at Popeyes, then I'm not gonna send her an email and CC Tom and Karen about the luncheon. I'm gonna go get some Subway and realize that I probably forgot something for her at some point in the recent past. So, the thing is your motives. What's my motive? Where's my integrity with this? And what's my motive? You know, what am I trying to do by talking to these people? And sometimes it's important because you do need to document that certain things have taken place for certain people in the organization. So, okay. When is it appropriate to using texting at work? Oh, wow.
To say lunch is here.
Yes, to say lunch is here. When else?
I particularly don't care for texting when it comes to direct
Because I don't
staff.
check my text off.
Because I just had to let a staff know this week, not trying to be really cruel to them because they felt it was okay to do it, that I had to bring it to them. I know now through your text, but in the future for me, call me, do not text me. And that's because I don't see in policy that says it's a rule that they have to text first before notifying me per the phone. Now, and that's for calling off.
And why was the person texting you? What do you
To call
think?
off.
Yeah, and well, what do you think their motive was to text you instead of calling you?
They can say, they have had they have had experiences with other ones, other than myself, that they report to in terms of calling off, that the person don't answer the phone.
Okay.
So they feel that if they text it, they can say that they sent the text. Well, I'm different. I won't not answer my phone, and if you don't get me then, you leave me the message, I'm calling you right back as soon as I get the opportunity to do so.
And some people are doing it because they want to avoid you.
Right.
I mean, that's
They don't
why
wanna
some
get
people
asked
text.
them
What you
questions.
can tell them is, if they're doing it because they want it in writing, to call you, that's how you call off. And that if they feel more comfortable if they send you a text after they call you.
Right, that's why she was explaining.
Then fine.
I'm sorry,
That's,
I like texting. I
That's
call
fine.
texting because I can use that when they say, I didn't say that, I'm like, yes, you did.
Yeah.
You didn't tell me that, yes, I did.
it's like a good way to document it
Right.
after,
But it
but
needs to be
not
after the
urgent
fact, though,
things that
because
need to be right now.
you can't hold them accountable to policy.
No, I think it's what you do with your own group, but here's where texting is not appropriate. To say anything emotional or anything intuitive. Texting is a factual thing. I can't be there. I'll be there at 9. I'll meet you here. It's a factual thing. When we start putting, I know you guys have heard of people like breaking up with their fiance right before the wedding on text. I mean, that's an extreme example. But you don't want your staff texting you on Sunday night when you know you're not going to see them until Friday and say, I think so-and-so is abusing a client. That is not the right use of text unless they also call you, right? So what I'm saying about texting be appropriate, if you want your call-offs to be on text and you have that understanding, I don't have any problem with that.
But
No,
they don't
it's not that. What I'm saying is, I'll get a phone call saying that somebody called off, blah, 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 we had a conversation. And I'll text back, because this is my paper trail,
Yeah.
where they'll put in their things that I can go back and say, we've had this discussion.
Yep.
You can't say that we didn't. Here it is. I was able to terminate a person because of the text.
Yeah.
But you got the phone call first.
Right,
Yeah,
yeah, that's what I'm saying.
First,
This
and
is-
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I did a
No,
texting-
policy says phone call.
Yeah,
Phone call.
right.
Yeah.
I understand from respect to policy as a guiding principle.
Right.
But somehow, do you think that there is a big difference between the letters of the law and the spirits?
Yes.
Because sometimes people carry the letters of the law beyond rational necessity
Yes, they do.
and neglect the spirits.
Right.
When we make rule and say, don't bring water in here, I think
Yeah.
it's the letter of the law. But
Right.
if somebody is affecting medical situation that requires water,
Yeah.
you neglect the letter sometimes to
Right.
go by the spirit. So
You're right. But with the texting thing, here's my thing about why it's not okay to text, why you have to call. Because how many of you have lost a phone and not had a phone for 24 hours or more?
Oh, yeah.
How about your phone falls, mine fell in the toilet once.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
So if you don't call me, you don't know that I know you're not coming in. So if you didn't see the text for whatever reason, you think someone's coming in at 11, and you get a call at home, so unless they've talked to you or left a message to a voicemail, there's no, they can't tell whether or not they communicated with you, unless you decide to text them back and say, if I don't text you back, pick up the phone.
Now, historically for that, if you don't follow the way the policy is written,
Right,
and now you are just, say, fed up with that, on not following, calling on
Right.
time, just making it so difficult for everybody else.
yeah,
Staff are pissed off because people are not showing up
right,
in time to relieve them to get off. Those kind of things. When you're gonna try to use that policy to bring a discipline,
yeah,
the first thing that's gonna be asked, and I have experienced it over the years, where on a legal basis, where staff, I went and filed out with EEOC and different places like that, you have to stick to the policy
Yep.
first.
you do.
And all this new modernized stuff come in last.
Yeah.
I'm the last to say
Well, we lost on unemployment for not following our own policy.
absolutely.
We did.
That's where I come from,
Yeah.
because if, when you have those experiences.
Because they say you don't follow your policy
You don't
anyway,
follow your
so.
policy. We might as well go and give them the benefits.
Right.
So you have to stick, my staff has to call
Right,
New Avenues first.
right,
To tell them that they're calling off and so that they can log in the time frame in
Right.
which they call and the reason for calling. Then call me.
and I know that staff also, you guys probably don't have this happen because your staff are perfect, but sometimes they like to do this.
But texting.
They just push the edge a half inch. They don't like flagrantly violate, but they're 9 minutes late, you know? Yeah,
So
what were you
what is
saying?
the policy is just strictly calling?
Call.
Yeah.
Calling, it says nothing about texting?
No.
But texting can be used.
As a supervisor,
documentation.
as a supervisor, you can direct your staff to do whatever you choose to with regard to text, as long as the phone call policy stays there. And the reason for that is if your staff transfers to Zeev, and in your place, they only do the phone and they only do texting, and they don't do the phone, now you're stuck with an employee that you don't know, doesn't know the policy, and is gonna screw up.
And you have to tell them. I don't hold them accountable for the first few times of it,
Sure,
but afterwards, they've heard it, they've been in service to train on.
right,
They have to do it the right way.
Yeah.
Because all that offset stuff makes me mad because now I got this person that should have been out here, should have been gone when they were with LA.
yeah.
And now they're coming to me and now I'm the one who has to end
And
up.
the thing is
You know,
that this
straighten
affects
out
the
the
people
demand.
we serve, and we can't have that. You know, in the end, that's who suffers.
And the spirit, let me tell you what the spirit does for me. I've always was raised up in the church and with spirit and everything of this nature. But in the workforce, when you have a lot of seeing the other eye,
Right.
this is a business.
Right.
It is not for you to look at it to say, well, I have my supervisor here who will constantly let me not do what I'm supposed to do according. And then when it gets up above all of us, up the chain of command, it gets hit down on the person who is quote unquote responsible.
Right.
So now you gotta go back and fix all of this
Yes.
soft cuts to staff instead of having staff to look at it. It's a business first and
Right.
everything else comes second.
But there are, I do have to say, there are times when we make exceptions here, and all of you know
Yes.
about those. But they're thought about by Tom approves them. There's a history of our approving those. I'll give you an example. We recently had someone who went on FMLA, and they were a day or so late getting the medical documentation in. Should we deny them the FMLA? He's a good employee, been here a long time? No. I mean, that's ridiculous, and that's what you're saying, Marcel, right?
Yeah. And,
That's a good point.
on another note is, some of the policies could be revised because some of these policies were made in probably 80s when we don't have cell phone